Jeremy here at Metal Music Meltdown, back with another video. What I have today, guys, is kind of a one-off video. I think a year or so ago I did a video where I did my top new wave of thrash metal bands. So a bunch of bands I was into that are post 2000. So I wanted to kind of do another video like that, but doing death metal instead. I don't listen to death metal quite as much as thrash and traditional metal, but I do like death metal quite a bit. I'm more into the kind of first wave, like the early 90s Florida scene. Love Death, love Obituary, early, that's just bands from the 90s, like Entombed, like the first wave of bands that came out. But when it comes to newer death metal, kind of post 2000, I'm really picky when it comes to death metal. A lot of it I don't like. It's just a wall of noise and I don't know, it just doesn't grab me. But there is the odd band that kind of sneaks through that I really like, and it really gives me that holy shit feeling. This is amazing. And I wanted to compile a list. Originally I was going to do 10, but then I quickly got to 10, and then I kept thinking of a couple others. So I expanded it up to 20. And yeah, I love all these bands. I listen to them quite a bit. Some might be surprising. Some of them are brand new bands, even from this year, that I actually made the list for post 2000 because I like them that much. Four of these bands are their debut album, and they only have a debut out so far, and I like them that much. They made that much impact on me. But most of these bands are really new, only have a couple albums out, maybe at most 4 or 5 for most of them. And I just wanted to compile a list. They're not really in any kind of order. At the bottom of the list, I did put the ones I listen to kind of less, and the ones I have less history with. And then at the top of the list, I did put more of my favorites and the bands I'm more into and listen to more. But otherwise, they're not really any kind of order. So let's jump right in, guys. I got 20 bands to go through. I'm not going to say much about each one. I just kind of picked my favorite album from each one. And a lot of these I don't think will be overly surprising. They're pretty popular bands. Like, a lot of people are into most of these. There'll be a couple bands you might not be familiar with, so you might want to check them out. But let's jump right in. So at number 20, again, not really in any kind of order, I put Skeletal Remains. Formed in 2011 from California. Really good band, very consistent. Not one I go back to quite as much as the other bands on the list, but I really enjoy their music. It's nice and heavy, very brutal and intense. And like I said, they're very consistent. They have 5 full lengths in total, but my favorite is the 2020 release, The Atonement of Chaos. And I'll have the albums beside me here to kind of show one of the albums. Yep, so definitely check these guys out. Very good, very heavy, very brutal, and high intensity all the way through. Next, we got a brand new band I just actually reviewed on the channel kind of recently. They're called Crimson Butchery from Ireland, and this is their 3rd full length entitled Stalker. I put the new one up here because that's the one I'm most familiar with. And at first, I give it a pretty fair rating, but after reviewing it, I've been listening to it more and more, and really enjoying it even more than I initially did. So it's definitely a band you should be watching out for and checking out. Like I said, they got 3 albums in total. Really, really good stuff, good groove mixed in. I think that's what kind of made me gravitate towards them. They kind of remind me of Obituary that way. They have like that heaviness and brutality, but they have a lot of groove and like the perfect amount of groove just to get your head bobbing. Really good stuff. Next we got Rivers of Nile. Pretty popular band, formed in 2009 out of Pennsylvania. They've got, again, 5 full lengths in total. And I went with the Where Owls Know My Name from 2018. It was my introduction to the band. And a really cool band. Progressive technical death metal. The guitar works really high end on this, really intricate stuff. Really good riffs, really well composed songs. Definitely a really good band if you're not familiar with them. They really incorporate a lot of different styles into their music and keep it interesting for sure. And next I've got the progressive death metal band Blood Incantation. I got into these guys more recently, and they're pretty good. Very progressive. They changed up from album to album. Definitely keep it fresh. And their last album, Absolute Elsewhere, was a killer album. Unfortunately, didn't make my top 10 of the year, which a lot of people had it near the top actually. But I really enjoyed this album, and the more I listen to it, the more I like it. Really good stuff. And next we got the supergroup, the Halo Effect, from Sweden, formed in 2019, melodic death metal. I've tried to incorporate mostly kind of straight up death metal bands, but I did put some death thrash and melodic death metal bands because technically they're still death metal. So the Halo Effect is comprised of the lead singer Michael Stahn from Dark Tranquillity and a bunch of other projects, Cemetery Guys Skyline, and then most of the guys are from In Flames, the band, and just really good super group, melodic death metal. They have 2 albums out so far, and Days of the Lost, the debut, is the one I'm showing beside me here. But both albums are really, really good stuff. I definitely want to pick up both of them on CD, and just some really good melodic death metal if you like Dark Tranquillity and Flames, but the early In Flames, more heavier. You'll definitely like this band. Next we got Gruesome, formed in 2014 from California. This is another band that's more new for me. I think I was introduced to them through Twisted Prayers in 2018. But I really like Savage Land, the debut. One of my favorites, really heavy. But again, they incorporate a lot of progressive elements into it, and a lot of good time signature changes and change-ups just to keep it interesting. Really good band. And they have a new album out this year, which I didn't get the chance to review on the channel, but it's definitely a standout death metal album for me this year. And it will definitely be on my end of the year death metal list for sure. And I think out of all these bands I put here in the 20, I think 7 of them have albums out this year that are on my top 10 death metal list this year. No spoiler alert, if you can kind of figure out who they might be. Next we got a cool band from my hometown, Toronto, Ontario, Autonosis. They have 2 full lengths in total. I went with their most recent album in 2022 called Muna Foul Magics. This album is amazing, and this band in general. They're an independent band. They're a mix of like melodic thrash, blackened death metal. Really good stuff. If you like Opeth and like blackened death metal, you'll love this band. So we've got this really heavy, brutal parts with blackened vocals, and then it'll shift over to this really beautiful, clean passages with these acoustic introductions and instrumentation. Really good band. Definitely check these guys out. Probably should have been higher on my list, to be honest with you, but really good stuff. Next we got Wilderrun. They have a band out of Boston, Massachusetts. They're formed in 2008. Symphonic, progressive, folk metal, death metal. A lot of harsh vocals, but a lot of clean stuff going on too. A lot of symphonic elements mixed in. I call these guys the baby Opeth. If you like Opeth because they're my favorite band, this is the closest thing you'll get to Opeth without being Opeth. They do it really, really well. It's almost like Opeth worship in my opinion. But The Veil of Imagination from 2019 has always been my favorite album from them. And yeah, definitely a band if you like Opeth, that kind of melodic, progressive death metal. Definitely check these guys out. Next we got a band that I just introduced to this year, Shade Crown, a melodic death metal, melodic death doom band out of Finland. I'm just going to go with their latest album, Zero, from this year. Really enjoyed this album. I was blown away how good they sounded. Just a really good, straightforward melodic death metal executed perfectly. They've got 4 full lengths in total. But like I said, my introduction was the newer album, so that's the kind of one I grabbed onto most. I really enjoyed it. Definitely check them out. Next we got another brand new band from this year called Ancient Death, Dissolution. Again, brand new band. I was blown away how good this debut was, and it made enough impact on me to make this list. It's just a crazy good new band, and I'm really looking forward to them putting out more material. And spoiler alert, this is a top 3 death metal album of this year for me. It'll definitely be in my top 3 at the end of the year for sure for my death metal list. Next we got Necrot, another band that probably no surprise, a lot of people are into this band. Formed in 2011 from, again, California. They got 3 full lengths in total. I went with the album Mortal. It was my introduction to the band back in 2020. I just really like these guys, really heavy sound. Straight up old school 90s death metal if you like death and just those early bands. You'll really like Cannibal Corpse. You'll really like this band. Really good stuff. Next, we got a band kind of local to me here in Hamilton, Ontario, in Canada, called Last Wretch. They've got 2 full lengths in total. The new one's not quite out yet. I've listened to it already though, because I've got an advanced copy. But I just wanted to show off their debut, Sadism and Severed Heads, from 2022. Really good new death metal band. Really brutal and heavy, but they have those really infectious grooves in their music. Really love it. And a band I instantly loved right away. And kind of from my neighborhood, not too far away. If you're not familiar with these guys, please check them out. They've gained quite a good notoriety off their first album. They got pretty good praise off of it. But they're still pretty underground, but definitely check them out. Next, we got the death metal band Crypta, all-female band out of Brazil, formed in 2019, just 2 full lengths. And love this band. They kind of were the band that was created after they split from Nervosa. And they have 2 albums, like I said. I like their debut, Echoes of the Soul. This one I showed here. Really good band, really heavy, kind of thrashy in parts. They're on Napalm Records, but just a really good all-female band. And next is the other band, Nervosa, kind of a death thrash band out of Brazil, but they're more of a international band now. Their members are from around the world. And I showed the album Perpetual Chaos. Always been my favorite album from them to date, from 2021. I think it was number 3 or 4 on my top 10 list that year. Really, really good death thrash, aggressive, heavy, great vocals, great guitar work. Definitely check out these ladies, really good stuff. Next, we got another brand new band with only 1 album out that actually got released earlier this year. The band Vomitizer from Norway, called Release the Rats, is their debut. Formed in 2023, so brand new band. This album kicked my ass. I gave it a 10 out of 10. It was my first 10 out of 10 album this year. And it's a top 5 year-end album for me. I can guarantee you'll probably see it in my top 5. Really good death metal, just old school 90s death metal, nothing too fancy, just raw. And no bells and whistles, just really raw and kind of groovy and just really good old school death metal. Just love the way it sounds. Next we're almost done here, last 5. We've got Gatecreeper. Everyone, I was pretty popular, knows these guys. They're out of Arizona. They've got 4 full lengths, I believe. Yeah, 4 full lengths in total. I just showed their latest album, Dark Superstition, from 2024, which was my introduction to the band. Love this album, made my year-end list of last year. Really good death metal, but again, they incorporate a lot of melody and like a lot of groove into their music. So they're kind of bordering more on the kind of melodic death metal kind of vibe. But I dig their sound. Always loved their sound right away as soon as I heard it. Went back, checked out all their other albums, all really killer, really good stuff. Next we got another brand new band that only has 1 full length. Their debut album from last year, Cryptic Lust. The band is called Eternal. They're based out of Arizona, first formed in 2021. So you can see a lot of these bands I'm into lately are all really brand new bands. This one only has 1 release. And shout out to Mark, my buddy over at Metal Never Dies, brought this band to my attention. He reviewed it last year. And this album is insanely good. Like old school, straight up death metal, raw production, great vocals, great guitar work. Everything about this album, I love it. 44 minutes of bliss. Incredible album. One of my favorite death metal albums of the last 20 years, easily. And next we got Frozen Soul. Again, pretty new band, formed in 2018 out of Texas. They got 2 full lengths in total. I just showed their Crypt of Ice, the debut here from 2021, which was my introduction to the band. Blew me away right away how good it sounded. Super heavy and cavernous, and the blast beats and just pummeling all the way through. Really enjoyed them right away. And then when I heard their second album, Glacial Domination, from 2023, just as good, if not better. Killer death metal band out of Texas. And just, yeah, they're a rising star for sure. They'll be one of those bands that take over when the Cannibal Corpses and those bands are all gone. Frozen Soul will definitely be one of the behemoths in the scene, guaranteed. Next, we got the band Horrendous out of Philadelphia. They've got 5 full lengths in total, formed in 2009. More progressive death metal. Later on, early in their career, they're more straight up death metal. I'm going with their latest release, Ontological Mysterium, from 2023. This might be my favorite death metal of the post 2000s. Favorite death metal album of post 2000s. Is that good? Like, I don't know what it is about this album, but every time I listen to it, it's just an experience. There's parts you can groove to. There's like melodic parts. There's like almost like little dancey kind of parts. It's like, but it's brutal and heavy and progressive, and just everything about it is amazing. But like I said, might be my favorite death metal album post 2000. It's that good. It's up there for sure. And the last band I wanted to mention here was Orbit Culture, kind of a melodic death metal band, thrash band out of Sweden. I went with their last album, Descent, from 2023. My introduction to the band was the album before that in 2020. But I did make a video where I kind of questioned what bands are going to take over when the Maidens and the Priest are all gone, and the Sabbath is gone now. But when those iconic bands are gone, and honestly, Orbit Culture could be one of those bands. They have the sound, a unique sound. They mix like death elements, melodic, thrash, but they execute it perfectly. Really good vocals, really thrashy, really heavy. They've got a new album coming out the next month or two, and I've been refusing to listen to any of the singles because I just want to listen to the whole album as it is. I think they've launched like 4 singles already. I just want to hear the whole new album in its entirety fresh. And but I love this band. Really good stuff. Kind of like early Metallica, but just on steroids and just way better in a way. Maybe not better than the first 4 Metallica albums. I'm not saying it like that. But they have that early Metallica vibe, but more melodic death metal version, if that makes sense, and just more modern, with a modern twist. Maybe that's what I mean to say. Like early Metallica with a modern twist. So yeah, that's it for my list, guys. I'm sure there's bands I've overlooked or forgotten about, but these are kind of the standouts for me. But standout albums, the Horrendous one I mentioned, the Eternal, the Vomitizer. Those 3 are very strong standout albums from the last 20 years for me, all pretty new. So if you like any of these bands, let me know down below what your picks would be. I know there's other bands I probably overlooked, like 200 Stab Wounds. I know a lot of people like those guys. I could never really get into them. But let me know down below. Maybe there's some other death metal bands I overlooked or I'm not familiar with that I could check out. So thanks for watching, guys. Keep it metal.